Eric.
Welcome to television, by the way.
Oh, thank you. No, I'm glad that you got the memo.
Unbelievable.
Which is fantastic. Good to see you.
Great to see you.
Opportunity to talk to the adult associations. So, very simple. First question to get you warmed up. What's your favorite soccer memory or experience?
You know, honestly, a lot of people would assume that it might be from my playing days, and outside of playing in a World Cup, which is phenomenal in front of your hometown and family and all that stuff. It's actually coaching. I put together a small team a couple years back called Cal FC.
Well, we know them well.
And we go on a pretty magical ride, and just that whole feeling of recognizing that we put a lot of work into that, and to go to Portland as a group of amateurs and to win a game, the first time that's ever happened, an amateur team beating top flight football without going to penalty kicks, and just pushing them towards the crowd and saying, hey, give them a wave. They weren't receptive. The reception wasn't completely perfect. There was a couple of angry fans, but it was welcome to the pros, and that always sticks in my memory. I've got a poster of that in my office to this day, and it always makes me smile.
Yeah, that's great. So, what is your, you've mentioned it a little bit there, what is your experience of either playing or coaching or being an administrator in the amateur game?
Well, I mean, I've owned a team, I've managed a team, I've coached a team, I've enjoyed playing in it. So I was a part of that crazy group of Hollywood United way back when. So it was playing with Vinnie Jones and all that bit. So as I kind of filtered out of my playing days, I wanted to stay involved. And what I recognized in the adult space is that not only it was just having a blast playing, and it was always great to get back out on the field until the next couple of days after wasn't so great, but just being a part of it, recognizing that as a space that may be underserved from the federation is one thing, but when you're involved in it, it's about passion, it's about love, and being able to, from my standpoint, actually know what the end of the road looks like. And to find those kids that maybe the road's taken a wrong turn or the circumstances got in the way, and to provide an opportunity for them to have a great experience still through the game that they love, that maybe had pushed them aside, is probably it's the most gratification you're going to get.
So you mentioned there about the federation. How can the federation help grow the affiliated adult game?
Right. So, and I've had the opportunity to talk with so many people about this, and one of the things you realize is that just because the numbers aren't really necessarily growing at an exponential level doesn't mean that means just let's forget about that.
Right.
I think it has been a conversation that needs to be had. I think the federation needs to take a whole new, different perspective on that, because as a federation we have to give our members a reason to be involved in the first place. Right. So. As that number doesn't seem to grow, I think one of the things that I will certainly do is address the adult faction because of that, the very fact that it needs to grow. The fact that it hasn't grown lately is not a problem. It's just it's a byproduct of our attitude towards only catering to the top. So I think we can change that, and that comes down to culture and the way that we address it.
No, you're right. So. It's Saturday morning, Orlando.
Yes.
You win the election. Sunday morning you wake up. What's your top 3 priorities?
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, a lot of people would assume that I'm going to get on a plane or go find John Garber, but I don't think that's step one as far as dealing with the professional level. Step one is getting a conversation going that allows us to push this in the right direction. What I feel, and maybe many others feel the same way, is that I've got to get some people in a room to make sure that everybody's on the same page. I just don't think the communication, the direction, or the vision of the federation is in the right spot right now. So first thing you got to do is get some people in a room and start talking about how you're going to address those issues, because anything that a president does, he's got to go through the board anyway. Right. So there's some bridges to be built there, and we need to have some friendships rediscovered, if you will. But of course, but all the decisions that a president makes will go through a board, and what that means is that you have to start looking at where the priorities lie. I do want to fix the women's relationship with their federation. That's got to be on my list. The national team, is something that we would want to address. But I really just got to figure out a way to get some leaders in the youth space on the phone and figure out how we're going to provide that direction and that vision.
Right.
But it's going to be, look, if it were one problem that we had, I'm not your guy. The fact that there's a lot of problems and I have a pretty good or a unique perspective on that and understanding of makes me the guy. So I got a lot of work to do. Prioritizing is tough, but it's going to be a tough 60 days.
And that, my last question to you is, 8 candidates, yeah, so why are you the guy?
Well, kind of what I just stated. I think that when you go through this process, not just a nomination process or an election process, you have to have a clear understanding of every single component of the game. And that starts with the youth. It goes through, of course, the amateur adult. You have to understand the national team. You have to understand what that's like to put on the shirt. You have to understand what's happening with the academies, how the referees are affected, how can we make our coaching better. So these are all things I've done.
Right.
I have a unique experience because these are things that I know because I've done them, and the experience will hopefully help me immensely as I go through the process. So
Perfect.
That's it.
Fantastic. Good luck.
Thank you.
We'll see you in Orlando.
And I'll see you the day after, too.
Yeah.